down from Shakyamuni Buddha to, couldn't really explain that logically. That's one of those things that, it was for coast to coast, the late night coast, like how a blessing current could come down. And when Rinpoche would say that, I didn't buy it, because I believe that Buddhists can't take away your suffering. Because if they're so compassionate, if they could, they would have done it already. That's the big Buddhist argument against creator deity that was virtuous or compassionate. If creator deity was compassionate and then didn't take away your suffering, then that would be a diabolical creator. That would be to watch little babies get horrible diseases and die. If compassionate creator deity was, up to the, then that won't happen. So that's not a logical argument against, but it sort of makes you think about how the world is created. So this blessing current thing, I thought was a bunch of BS, but I read books I consider myself an average, above average intelligent person. I don't have any brain damage. I can pretty much think on my feet if I have to. I'm really bad at math. But I read a bunch of Dharma books. I don't think I got anything out of it really until I sat with a teacher and just thumbed it down for me. Gave me the gist. I don't know whether, and I think it was something I really can't put into words. His compassion, I don't know. I guess some of the Hindus might have words for that stuff. They have words like Shakti, or I don't know, they have words like that energy from a teacher, like a blessing energy. So the Tibetans have that belief that you get a blessing from teacher to student, from teacher to student. So that's why I'm going over this list of all these really weird names. So from Lord Atisha, from Lama Sarlingpa came Lord Atisha, a great teacher. Then to his student Dromtomje, then Geshe Potawa, then from him to Sharawa, then Geshe Chekawa, who wrote this particular root text at the back of this book, Lojong Dunma. This whole Lojong, this whole achieving Buddhism thing, is about getting Bodhichitta as fast as possible. Why? Because Je Tsongkhapa said that getting Bodhichitta is like taking a highway to Buddhahood. That with that very small motivation, just get me out of suffering. That kind of, I need to reach nirvana. That's a kind of motivation, but then with a very wide, it goes on the collecting of seeds in the mind. The belief is that there is a continuum of consciousness. The mind goes on forever. And with this bodhicitta in your heart, mind, heart, consciousness, raw consciousness, the scope, the field of your activity is so vast. If you could have, it's kind of like, I've heard that term, Christ consciousness. It's kind of like, when Jesus Christ was being crucified and his only thought he had on his mind purportedly was to, to save everybody, let me take all the sin away from these people. It's like that kind of amazing mind. Then the result of that in your mind, that's actual karma. The resulting of it, the seeds, the mental impressions of those actions under that motivation that gets impressed in your mind, and they grow exponentially. And then you experience a different reality. If you generate a very pure kind of cause, virtue, in your mind, say under the influence of bodhicitta, doing one of the 6 paramitas, you hear a lot about the bodhisattva activities, like say giving activity. Then the benefit you get from that is amazing. But then people always say, but why is my life so shitty if I'm a good Buddhist and I'm doing this bodhicitta in my heart? Number one is that you're probably not practicing, because I know I'm bad with that. Number two is you have countless lifetimes of bad deeds and mental afflictions that you're trying to work through. So you got to give it a while. It can't be like a McDonald's fast food kind of go in the drive-through and like, give me some bodhicitta and some emptiness now. By the time I make it to the window, I want to be a Buddha. It doesn't work like that. Let me see. Then there's the other bodhisattva activities. Morality, which is keeping the kind of morality. And I have a problem with this one, Rinpoche was very hardcore about vows. And in traditional Vinaya, there's like monks' vows, nuns' vows, one-day vows, lay man's vows, lay woman vows. They're very strict. And and then there's bodhisattva vows, which is a whole other ball of wax. And then there's secret vows, tantric vows. And Rinpoche was always on about the vows. And I don't know, I think it's coming from the West. I'm like, well, my spiritual practice shouldn't be written down with a little do's and don'ts, it seems a little tacky to me. But they say that if you keep some kind of pure morality, the big sell is that within 7 lifetimes, you'll be a Buddha. And that wasn't fast enough for me. Then giving morality, patience. Patience is another activity of the bodhisattvas. But some people in the West think that patience is like, you're going to wait in line for an eternity. That's not the point. The point is not to be patient with people. Sometimes bodhisattvas stir shit up and piss people off out of compassion. The main thing is to not generate anger in your mind. The patience, the perfection of patience, is in that life situation when you normally, reasonably, in a very samsaric way, in a very suffering being kind of normal 9-to-5 person way, would want to get angry at that person. You don't. Master Shantideva, author of the Bodhisattva Vitara, would say at times that when you're about to have a mental affliction, when you're about to say something about something, shut up. Shut up. Stop thinking. Think about something else. Just stop yourself. In some of the Lojong meditations we will do later, one of the first persons you Lojong on, you giving and taking, you Tonglen on, is yourself. Now, you cannot take away mental afflictions from you tomorrow morning, but it has a profound effect on your mind when you actually do get into that. In the Tonglen tradition, which is one aspect of Lojong, you start off having compassion for yourself and realize that you are very imperfect, and realize that there's going to be situations when there's lack of sleep, your enemy in front of you, whatever, the family screaming at you, where you're going to take away that person's mental afflictions. And then when you save you, then you go on to extend that to everybody you've, neutral people, everybody you've loved, or everybody you've hated. Or you can mix it up, people who you're close to, neutral people, and then enemies. Much more difficult to do that. To put people who are enemies right in front of you in a meditation and take away their pain and suffering and give them love and happiness. So I'm going to give the 10 benefits of bodhicitta, because there's always, like in every Mahayana text, there's praise to a Buddha, there's praise to the teachers, and then there's like a selling point, like why you should even be studying this text. It's kind of funny in that way, like I take it way too seriously, and I'd be like,